All right. Welcome to the Rocket Launcher podcast. This is episode 135. A special. We already got the Switch 2 at home edition. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me as always is my co-host, and his name is...
It's your guy Amazes.
Listen, I want to tell the people, you already got this at home. We gonna show you some alternatives. Started with what's on the screen. We got you don't even got to get the new the new Spyro. What's the dude name? Sonic.
Mario?
You ain't even got to get the new Sonic racing game because you already got one. We already got one that's cheap out there. You don't need the new Mario one. You don't need the new Sonic one. We got the old one here. This ain't even that old. Do it look old? It don't look old. It don't look that old. It was like on sale at one point, about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, for $10. I don't know if it's still on sale, but I know it's cheap overall. I'm pretty sure you can find it's cheap. We don't need the new Mario Kart. Do you need the new Mario Kart, man? We don't need it. You can just play this. Just play this.
Crash Team Racing.
Just play this, man. This is Sonic. This is called Team Sonic Racing. I know they was like, yo, we got another one coming out. They come out with a Sonic game like every year. But listen, we are still in the aftermath. Is it aftermath, or we're still in the crisis era of the Nintendo Switch launch hype-ish, whatever you want to call it. So much news that's like surrounding this where I still feel like the masses, which includes the moms, the dads who are buying this for kids, the people who are just like, just want something on, in passing or whatever, some information in passing. I really think that they still believe that physical games are probably $90 and all of that stuff, and like the upgrades are none of the information is going to be on the cartridge itself. It's just going to be a key and stuff, like the worst news, and then that's it, because they probably don't have time to go back and like actually get up to date information. But we've heard a little bit as time goes on that some of that stuff is not true, right? And I think we have already addressed this before, like the $90 game situation. Like I believe that was in like certain regions only, which we've heard of before with like the PS5 and Series X. Like if you was in like Australia or something, it was like in that range already for those games, right? And so Nintendo is still trying to figure out a way to launch this thing successfully, right? And they haven't, in the middle of all this, they have not changed the actual release date itself. It's still the same, so that is still supposed to be June 5th. I would have thought maybe they would have said, hey, July 5th, right after July 4th or something, maybe August 5th or something, just give it a couple more months just to figure something out. But no, they still have it there. We can't pre-order if we wanted to. The people can't pre-order. Yeah, US and Canada has the pre-orders delayed. I believe that was something I wrote down. Funny enough, there are scalpers, some who are still apparently trying to figure out what to do, but it seems like they're not going to be successful with this compared to like the Series X and PS5 when that whole like debacle happened. But one thing I don't think we had really touched on was like directly after the show, which a lot of people probably know by now, they had their treehouse shows where they just have like a few people that represents their company just for the moment, play the games and stuff. And like the fan base had basically hijacked the comment section. Did you hear about this, where they were just like all spamming drop the price in the comment section? It reminded me of like wrestling events where people just like hijack the shows. It was kind of like that. And I heard Nintendo like went back and like deleted a couple of them and like made the comments where you couldn't view it no more.
Dang.
So the people are still like really, really not feeling this, which is understandable. But it
Yeah.
came down to a very big moment that's probably a big, big talking point right now, which is a gentleman that we've heard his name before by the name of Doug Bowser, um, which had a Don Matrick moment, a Xbox 360, Xbox One moment, I guess, where he suggested that you just simply play the Switch One and get on with your life in a way, in the
Yeah.
most nicest way as he could.
So he was. He says that his intention was saying that don't worry, the Switch One is going to be supported for years to come.
Hmm.
But everyone took it as him saying, if you too broke to get a Switch 2, just stick to the Switch 1 then. And leave us alone. We're not dropping the price.
This
Like,
is
if you don't be broke,
so.
be broke.
It's interesting though. It's interesting for me because in real time we're watching Nintendo become the bad guy to the masses.
Yeah.
Where before it was only the hardcore that like really peeped game, but not everybody else was really paying attention. And then you had your Switch diehard people who was like, they could do no wrong. But now the masses are just looking at them as bad people to an extent. I do believe that they're still going to be successful out the gate to an extent, but I do think that with the price hikes and everything that they're blaming it on, like the tariffs and stuff, I do think that this particular Switch, Switch 2, is not going to be anywhere near as successful as Switch 1.
Nope. As they still try and chase PS2 sales, like, they ain't going to reach it.
Yeah, I
But you know
mean,
what
one,
the situation reminds me of?
yeah.
From what Bowser said? So, I don't know if you remember. You remember the recent Charlie's Angels movie that came out? That was
I didn't
like,
watch that.
people just,
No.
yeah, no one did. So that was the point. So, when they were doing interviews about it, I believe it was Kristen Stewart that said it, but somebody was like, "We don't need men to come to the theater to see this movie. It's like women power, and don't show up and come see it." So then nobody showed up to go see it, and then it failed. And immediately after, they were like, "Well, it failed because men were afraid to see powerful women on TV." And every dude was like, "No, it's not. You said don't go see it." Like, and then don't say that it was because our fault. Like, we don't want to see powerful women. We just saw Wonder Woman. Like, that was great and that was successful. Like, you told us not to come see it. And it reminds me, like, this is going to be this situation. They're not going to get the sales that they want. And they're going to be on some, like, well, the gamers for some reason are just not coming out to buy the game and it's their fault. And it's like, no, you told us if we don't want to buy it, stick to the Switch 1. That's what you said. And don't try and blame us if you don't get the money that you want. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're going to have to raise the price because we didn't make the sales we need. And it's like, don't blame us.
Yeah, it does seem a little odd that a person who is like a CEO, it's weird that we had the situation twice though. Like the Dom Matrix situation was such a long time ago. And even when I listened to that footage not too long ago, because a lot of people were playing it and comparing to Doug Bowser's statement, even then it sounded at first like he had good intentions, because he was explaining like people who really just don't have internet, but it didn't matter. It was like the damage was done because of all the other stuff, the egregious stuff that went along with it, like trying to make it to where you can't trade in games and stuff like that. And you fast forward to now, and some of that information that's out there is similar, where it's just like, here's this game key and not the game, not on the cartridge. There were people who believed that key would have been tied to a digital game and you couldn't change or you couldn't trade the game in or not. But like people, I think that was cleared up with some of the information that's out there. But what's the problem with it is Nintendo themselves is still silent on a lot of things, where there are other people who are like trying to tell you what's right and what's wrong, and we believe them because they are good sources, but they're just simply not Nintendo. And it's like Nintendo needs to themselves like say something, you know.
They
But
don't
so
want to make it worse.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they can recover from certain things, to be honest.
They're
I mean,
probably out
we
here like, just buy it. Like, you bought the other ones, buy this. Just do it. That's what they're thinking. But also, I think it's part of the issue when you say, like, it's weird that this happened, like, again.
yeah,
It's because, it's the wrong people in charge. Like, I keep saying, these execs who keep making these decisions don't know what they're doing. So, of course, they repeat it. It's the same reason why we keep having the same constant issues with a lot of the games, and they just can't figure out, well, what went wrong, even though it's like super obvious.
yeah,
Or it was just like, stop chasing the trend of battle royale. You're not gonna get Fortnite money. So then they just take a good idea and find a way to make it a battle royale. And then they're like, well, why didn't it work? And it's like, because again, nobody wanted that. Or like, again, I always attack Warner Bros. With them having a very successful Arkham trilogy, a very successful single-player Hogwarts Legacy, a lukewarm multiplayer Gotham Knights, and a cold Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And the thing that they learned from it originally was we should do a lot more multiplayer games. And then, no, let's just close everything. People only want to be Batman. And it was like, did you not see the success of Hogwarts Legacy when people were saying make a single-player game and you saw it and went, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. We got you. We're paying attention. And it's like, you're clearly not. And it's like, these execs keep doing so. It's like, even though Bowser's statement, like, you know, he was trying to say, we're going to support it. And he could have just said, we're going to support the Switch 1 from years to come. He didn't say that. He said, you're too broke. Stick to the Switch 1. And it's like, because you're out of touch. And like, you're like, instead of addressing the obvious issue, you still find some way to warp around it saying, well, we're not doing anything wrong. It must be you.
it's just is. You know what's so bad about just this generation in general? Like everything that's been happening with all these different execs and companies and stuff, it's all about money. That I'm almost certain, you know, none of the fan base really wants to pay. They don't even want to be bothered with that. They want to pay the same thing they've been paying. It don't even make sense to them.
Let's be real. Again, it's money that the people who's making these decisions already got. And like, it's people putting, like, if prices went up, but we can actually see, like, hey, the cost of making the game costs more. So this is like the price is going up to reward, not even reward, but like pay the developers and all that stuff what they now earn and things like that. Like, it would suck, but it would make sense, and a lot of people would still complain less. There'll still be some complaints about prices going up, but it'll be a better argument of saying, well, at least like the developers and the companies and like the people who are working hard are getting their fair share.
But you know, they ain't getting a thing. They ain't getting nothing. They getting what they made.
Things are going up, and they're like, yeah, because it costs more, and then it's just going to the out-of-touch CEO who's just like getting more money and going on vacation after he fires everybody. So it's like, it's just that they need to stop being in charge and making these decisions.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if Nintendo can recover. I think they will long term because of their name value and the name value of some of these brands. But short term, no, I don't think that they will. Honestly, I think for the first, I think obviously this year is going to be a hard year for them anyway, because they're still, for everyone, you're still basically going against GTA at the end of the day. And then there's still a lot of other releases that's going to come this year and next year on other platforms anyway. And so they have a lot that they have to really battle against, and they were at one point considered a very heavy hitter for 2025 for the Switch 2 before the whole pricing situation. But I honestly, I still have to call a spade when it comes to them blaming this on the tariffs and stuff, because this is not new when it comes to Nintendo. Like, how do you blame, Breath of the Wild on the tariffs? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, that's what I was just trying to say just before we got on air. It was like, this is a Wii U game, and it's like increasing in price per system at this point. And that's not even like, I can see if they did Tears of the Kingdom, like you wouldn't like it, but they increased Tears of the Kingdom by $10. But Breath of the Wild is like, I've heard people call it like their version of Last of Us, basically, where it's just like, here's another generation of it, and we're putting it on our other platform, and it's $10 more on this other platform. But it's like, they've been finished that game. If the developers are not there to be on Tears of the Kingdom, those developers are not actually getting a dime. And I wouldn't be surprised if the developers of Tears of the Kingdom that came from Breath of the Wild is not seeing an increase here either. This is going straight to Nintendo at this point.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, like, they've been known to sell their systems at a gain. They don't sell them at a loss, and they do profit on each and every system. For like the Switch and stuff like that. The Switch should have been, marked down, because that system, the tech in it is very outdated. Like, it's very easy to get those parts, and it's cheap parts, and it's got to the point where people who had like high-end cell phones, their cell phones was actually more powerful than the Switch itself. For some of these like Samsung phones, even the iPhone was more powerful than the Switch. And so it's like, like, you could have been dropped that $300 price on that system way before, any president that's in office right now was president. You know what I mean? And not only that, like, Breath of the Wild, if you just had the regular Switch version, like, this has nothing to do with the Switch 2. It's like, if you had the regular Switch version, that bad boy is still like a $60 price tag game all year round for a title that did come out in 2017, and originally still launched on the Wii U, and the Wii U version of that game was still $60 in regular retail, and you didn't see a drop until it got to the mom and pop stores. And even then, it's still, right above the indie priced market for new games. So it's like I don't believe the terrorist thing at all. Yeah.
Let's also be real. So they're trying to say we're not going to do pre-orders, and we can't show the actual price yet because we got to see how tariffs affect it. If people are already complaining now about the base price that you have, and now you're going to try and be like, well, because of tariffs, we actually have to charge you a little more. Like, how do you think that's going to work out?
I mean, you burying your own platform. But listen, real quick, I got to say, for that wheelchair basketball, forget the wheelchair basketball. We got you. We got the basketball at home already. We got it already, bro. That one didn't even have color. It didn't have nothing on there. It was like all black and white or whatever. Here we got a classic for you. This is NBA Street, Volume 3. Hey. Classic.
I was playing Volume 2 the other day, actually.
This is classic. This was the hypest game. I was playing this just for the footage for the show, and I was like, yo, this is hype. Like, I was hype playing this. I was like, listen.
Hoops.
Yes, like,
I don't know if you remember the one that had the actual street ball players in it.
Yeah, I know, because I remember. Shout out to Hot Sauce, because that was one of the main guys I played with, and I had that game.
Hot Sauce, and I used the Professor.
I had the real game, yeah, and like, it was just like the mechanics here and like the stuff that was going on. I was just like, yo, this game is old, but it's hot. Like, if you just pick this up real quick, just because, like, just have a retro day. Listen, and it wasn't even like Like the Switch graphics ain't that far off from these graphics. That's the funny part about it. I'm like, yo, like listen, like there are some hot alternatives out here. Like ain't nobody gonna be sitting here just like completely just we ain't got no other games to play. Like I'm not trying to hear that at this point. But yes, NBA Street Volume 3. I am gonna be putting a lot more retro stuff in here as time goes on, but I just wanted to do this. This was a really hot game at this like that you're seeing. But anyways, Doug Bowser really screwed over Nintendo Switch's 2 launch a little bit, because that's just gonna really rub people the wrong way. You are gonna have your Nintendo apologists, but that's the masses. Like I said, they're seeing little by little. You know, the people are looking at Nintendo as bad guys going forward, and it's their fault. It really is their fault. And I really can't blame tariffs on anything, because if you come back with a $500 price tag and the actual $90 price tag on a game, digitally and physical, I mean, you'll kill your launch. You'll kill probably the 6-7 years. You probably won't recover like that. And they had that situation happen before with the Wii U, where it was right there. They had every game that you would want to play. They had their Mario, they had the Mario Kart, they had the Smash Brothers, they had a few other Nintendo games there, and people didn't buy the system. They just didn't buy it. But we'll see. I do want to move on to the second part of this topic that is kind of near dear to me. What?
Switch. Correction. Professor wasn't in Street Hoops, and I used to complain about that. My bad. It was Future. I used to play as Hot Sauce in the Future.
Okay. I just wanted to mention the GameCube controller situation, because that's actually something that I have a GameCube controller that's like a Switch controller, where I have a few of them. I have the Power A one, which was wired, which is mainly for like a Smash Brothers controller. I think it's even called the Smash Brothers controller, even though it's just a GameCube wired controller. I got 2 of those, and then I had the one that is like Joy-Cons, where you can put them on both sides of the Switch, and then you can put it together and play as a wireless controller, and it's pretty unique because I can play it both on there and the Steam Deck. But then they had theirs, and I was like, you know what, I'm kind of interested in it, but it's like a little controversial, and I think this is still part of your topic, so you want to tell us a little bit?
Yeah, so it's been revealed that the GameCube controller that they showed off is only compatible with the GameCube Nintendo Classics games. So you can't use that controller for every game. It only works for that online Classics edition.
See, I don't understand. That doesn't make sense to me, because
Same. I feel like inputs.
Because that wasn't a thing with their Power A controller. Like, they licensed that out. It has Nintendo's packaging on it, and you could play with that controller on regular Switch games. And like, some of the button placement is obviously changed around, because you're looking at like, you know, X and Y being switched around, that kind of thing, from the GameCube to like the Pro controller or whatever. But yeah, it's like you were still able to use it. You know what I mean? And it's like, so my understanding is it won't work on like a Super Smash Brothers then, which is like the main game you would use it for.
Nope. So as of now, if you buy that controller at launch, it's only going to work on 3 games.
And that does me no good.
Yeah, that's if you have the Classics edition. If you don't, then it ain't gonna work on nothing.
See, they're killing their launch. They're killing, and it's gonna be their fault. They're killing their launch, and it's their fault, because that's stupid. That's extra stupid. Because like, if I was to play, I would want to use that controller on PC. So can I use it for PC? You know what I mean? Like, as a PC controller, usually PC can pick up everything. But like, if it's usable on PC, where you can use it with emulation of the GameCube controls games, but you can't use it.
If that's the case, if you can use it on GameCube emulation, but you can't use it on non-GameCube games from the Switch, and they're also drip feeding the GameCube games, they're telling you like to emulate at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and like it's really goofy too, because you got to remember you can't even you're not eligible. Like imagine somebody telling you this, you're not eligible to buy this thing unless you have their online, which I believe is the expansion pack online, which was $50. So if this controller, because I'm assuming this is going to be either $50 or $60, but you gotta have the online just to get it, right? So that's $100 plus buy-in by default, just for that controller that is only available for 4 games right now. Like what? And all right, one of the games that I want to play, one of the games I'm already actually playing, is Metroid Prime Remaster. Metroid Prime came from the GameCube, but the remaster version is a Switch game. So let me understand this. I cannot play the GameCube controller with the Switch version of that game, even though the original controls were GameCube controls.
I guess not, which I don't get. Like I feel like the A button is the A button regardless of what you use. So if you're plugging it in, like why would the GameCube games be able to read it, but the other ones are like, no, that doesn't work.
I don't even.
Like I feel like it's the same. Like the GameCube controller is the same as a Pro controller with some slight button movements. Like it should read both, because it should be the same hardware, right? It's the Nintendo. Like what I think about is like if you try to plug in a PS2 controller into like a Steam game, you may have to remap stuff or get something to say read it because it's not normally like used on this system. But it isn't like the case where half of the Steam games work as plug and play, and the other half you have to download this extra thing to get it to like work. So it's just like if you're releasing a Nintendo product, but then you're telling me this Nintendo product is not compatible with most of your games, is only compatible with the old ones. It's like why? I'm not seeing why. It's not like it's like VR and the game is just not VR. It's what is making what is in the coding for the classic games that is removed from the rest. Like I'm not understanding why you can't read it.
Now the Switch itself, or the GameCube selection, is exclusive to the Switch 2. So if I'm understanding this correctly, the GameCube controller is incompatible with the Switch 1 in its entirety. Is that my understanding? Is that correct? Would you say that's correct? The GameCube controller, the Switch 2 version of the GameCube controller is completely incompatible with the first Switch.
I believe so, yeah.
That's ridiculous. Let me mention real quick another We Got This at Home edition. You do not need Donkey Kong Bonanza. Go ahead and play the original, beat 'em up, smash 'em up, everything. This is the iconic Hulk in the game. The Incredible Hulk, Ultimate Destruction. Everything you saw from the direct you can do in this game, I'm about to demonstrate. Fun title. Very fun title. It was really fun playing some of this stuff. Some of the stuff was already on my list to play anyway, including this game. Because this game was hot. I used to have the original. But, like, if you look at the Donkey Kong game, you ain't doing nothing but just, like, smashing around the ground and stuff. I'm like, you know what, bro? You can just play this. I mean, look at this. What was the difference? I mean, you was just, like, literally just smashing up everything. It's just go smash up stuff. At least you actually had people to fight. Like, in the other one, it was, like smash until you found, like, this golden banana, and then that was it. But there was, like, no enemies whatsoever. I'm like, yo, like... Over here, you got the army. At one point, there's some helicopters and some tanks. I'm like, yo, listen, we don't got to put up with their foolishness. I don't want to put up with their foolishness. We got so many of these games that do the same thing. It's kind of crazy to me.
So, what I'm confused about, it says So you remember the Nintendo GameCube controller adapter
Yeah.
for the Switch is compatible with the Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
But does that mean it's still only going to work for GameCube games, or is it you have to use that one for anything, but then the Switch 2 GameCube controller is only compatible with GameCube games? Like the Nintendo GameCube controller adapter, was that compatible with everything?
So the GameCube controller that was like wired,
Yeah.
that was considered the Smash Brothers controller. You can use that on other games.
Oh, that's still compatible with the Switch 2. It has to be in TV mode, and you connect it to the Switch 2.
Yeah, yeah. What I'm saying is like the Switch wireless one that they got, you won't be able to use that on the Switch one at all.
I don't think so.
Which makes it incompatible with Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's the main game that people gonna play it on. Like, yeah, they're gonna play them other games if they have like the online and everything. And they would have the online anyway by default because that's the only way you would get it. But it's like that's the main thing that you would play it with. Is that because everybody who plays Smash Bros. That way, like that's kind of the definitive way to play it. They've been porting over their same GameCube controllers from when they had them when they were younger, because they have all those adapters and stuff that you can just hook to the Switch. The Switch is really funny because this controller situation, like the game, the Switch 1, the system opened up the controller support to everybody. Everybody was like coming out with their own version of a controller for the Switch, whether it was their own version of a Pro controller that Nintendo would say just don't have amiibo support on there or whatever, and some of them just didn't have the gyro support, but they would have the same controller layout and shape as a Pro controller. Which is my way of playing a lot of those games docked. I don't play with the Joy-Cons. Like everybody was partnering with them to like make it, whether it was Power A or 8-bit Do. I think the controller that I have, the Switch like GameCube Joy-Cons is coming from a company I think name is Nixus. But it was like other companies just made them and it was no problem. And then all of a sudden now, like, they have a problem with like what you would think would be the most definitive controller that they have as a company. Because it seems to be timeless to people. People love that controller. And now you're, making it like limited to certain things. That's so dumb.
So according to, and I don't usually take their word for it, so IGN, it is a disclaimer on like the UK website, and they said that there were other controllers that Nintendo would sell that had that like a disclaimer that was similar, but still worked on a bunch of stuff. So it may still like just work on things. And again, this is a case where Nintendo should probably say something, but it's just there's fine print on like the UK version of the Switch 2 GameCube controller trailer that says it's only compatible with Nintendo GameCube classics, but it doesn't have it on the American version. So the UK one says that in the trailer, and it says it's worth noting or worth considering that other Nintendo controllers with similar disclaimers have not been fully limited. So they've been able to, and then as players have been able to make retro controllers work where applicable.
Oh, how could they mess this launch up that bad?
I don't think they were ready. I still think they felt like they had to do something because people were dropping the specs.
Yeah.
So they just said something to say something, and I don't think they fully planned this out.
But at the same time, like even though like they probably wasn't fully ready to show the system, but the system, like the literal hardware was actually shown like on Twitter. But it's like the GameCube controller thing, I don't think anybody would have expected them to have like this issue. Like how could this have that kind of issue? You know what I mean? Like how could they have an issue where that thing is not fully usable everywhere on their systems. Like, why would that thing be blocked anywhere? You know, because imagine if you could really just use it on, you know, Steam Deck, like this right here. Like, why? Like, it would be silly if you could only use it and they're drip feeding certain titles and stuff, and then licensed games like this is a licensed game, like would never actually show up on their online anyway. But then I could just take it and put it on here, and then I play it like normal. And there's like more for me to do here than it is under their actual official version. It's so silly. That's so silly. Because it's like the price thing is what really got them. But then even if you stop looking at the price, like these are just features on their platform where it's like you don't even know what you're getting yet, right? Like, and you got to also understand, like the GameCube controller, the buy-in is going to be $100. You have to have the online. Now, some people probably have already bought that. But if you didn't buy it, you know, you have to buy that just to get it. And you might, like, what's really goofy about that too is like, none of those GameCube controllers are online, or GameCube games are online games. They're GameCube games. They're literally single player games, but you have to buy the online just to get to it.
Yep.
Goofy. How, that is such a disaster. How could they have made that mistake? And it's like, that's not even something that's going to be the first thing that they need to fix. The first thing they need to fix is like really the trust of the fan base and trying to explain to them what the new price is going to be. Because from our understanding right now, they're going to come back with a higher price by default. I don't care what it is, it's just going to be higher. Right? By default.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So now we have to like somehow say here, this is the actual price. They're not going to say it like on their page. They're just going to throw it up like on their website where you would normally pre-order. That's how everybody found out the other prices. And just kind of leave it there and just never officially say it, which is just bad in itself, because it's like, well, you're not really showing me real respect, you know, as a consumer. Like you're not talking to me like man to man, like a real person or whatever. You're like, what you expect me to say? Like, by the time everybody's going to have to go through checkout online or in person, and they're going to see that price at the very end right then and there. So it's like, there's no point in even hiding. You know what I mean? There's no point of hiding that. But how goofy would it be if they really introduce a $90 price tag for a title, for a game? You know, do you think the Switch 2 is actually worth $500?
No.
Because that's the natural one to go up to, right? 500.
It was natural for the other ones to go up to 500 because the previous was 400. Like,
yeah, but I just mean like
more.
if you're talking about a price increase, like you could go to 5 or you can go to 550. But I honestly think what's going to happen is they're going to have the same situation happen to them as the PlayStation VR 2. The PlayStation VR 2 was 550. It got a permanent price drop and it's now 350. And still, and people still don't buy it. It's just, it's sitting there at 350, and I didn't get it. Right? It's just sitting there. And I think that's what's gonna happen. But I don't know how long it took. I think it was maybe 1 or 2 years for PSVR 2. Has it been 2 years for that? It seems like it. Yeah. And so Nintendo's gonna throw their thing out there, and then maybe 2 years from now it'll drop. Basically, that's what I'm thinking. I don't think it can't stay at a high price like that, because nobody's gonna get it. Because even normal retailers, they don't like to just hold items in their stores that's really expensive. They really don't like to do that. They hardly have anything in the store that's like that high at a normal retailer. So we'll see. The GameCube controller is such a disappointment though, because that's something I would have got. I would have had it. Would have been like my fourth one, two wired, two wireless. But if anybody wants a wireless GameCube controller, go look up the company Nixus. I think it's NX something. Search GameCube.
NYXS?
Yes, Google search GameCube Switch Joy-Cons, and then you'll see their website, the people who did it, and then they have like their own version of the GameCube controller where it's just a straight up controller where it's not doing the Joy-Con gimmick. And so you can get either one, and they sell theirs around like $60 normally, and then it drops in the holiday season just like everybody else. And that's all I really got to say about that. Let me real quick do our middle of the road Epic Games unofficial sponsor real quick. So I always talk about Epic Games because they give away free stuff, and they seem to be giving away a whole bunch of different random things all at one time. From what I was seeing, it was like 5 things in a row. But Epic Games gives away free games every week, 1 or 2 games usually, and then around the holiday season they give like a whole collection back to back, right? And so if you have a PC, or if you don't have a PC, you can still claim these games online and create a profile, and then once you do get one, you just log in, and then everything is there for you to download and play. You don't need a credit card just to claim any of these games. You can just simply create a profile, right? And so the game that they have for free was called Arcade Geddon, which I believe Arcade-A-Geddon. Arcade-A-Geddon. My bad.
Yeah.
All right.
I've played it before. It's actually a fun game.
How you feel about it?
It's good. It's an endless runner, where basically you're like, you walk in and you're kind of in like a VR sort of thing. Everybody looks like weird characters, but you're like a VR, and you get like guns, and you're going around shooting enemies, and then picking up guns as you go, upgrading guns as you go, and then like in between like levels you can like trade out for different weapons, and then you just go and you just see how far you can go before dying.
Okay. So that is free right now until April 17th, along with Idol Champions of the Forgotten Realms. I believe for this particular title, that was one I had already owned before, so they kind of double dipped on this. That's another thing that you can get. I think that one was more like a RPG. That's like side scroller and stuff. So if you're into that, that's there. And then the last one for right now is River City Girls. I don't know if there was a glitch in Epic Games launcher, but if you click on it, for whatever reason, for me, it was like taking me to the game Overcooked instead. But
mine worked, but
okay. But I was just gonna say, if it didn't work for somebody else, all you had to do was search it under the search engine, and then it came up that way, and I was still able to claim it and everything. I don't know, maybe I just had a hiccup with mine, but I was able to claim everything. And then April, so the next one is from April 17th to April 24th. It's so crazy to read that out loud because it looks like the month of April is going to be gone already. But I believe this one, it looked like Tarantula to me, but Botanicula, did I say that right? Botanicula, is that right? I don't know.
I think so.
But weird title, but that's coming out, or that you can claim on the 17th for free. And then Firestone Online Idol RPG was another one that they have, where you can claim on the 17th through the 24th. So a bunch of stuff there. And some of it they given out before, but you can't complain when it's free, right? Free is free. Is there any like sales or something coming from Amazon that you want to mention?
Amazon's 23. They're giving away 23 games this month.
Okay.
Well, I'll have a full list next week because they give like only like 7 at a time, and then it like increases throughout.
Mm-hmm.
But I know like one of the heavy hitters is one of the Mafia games. I want to say Mafia 2. Oh, you know what? I can pull up the list now. So,
While you do that, I just gotta say this Hulk game was just crazy. Just looking at this footage is just crazy. It's just destroying everything. Like absolutely go back and check this game out, everybody. But yeah.
So, my bad. It was Mafia 3. So last month was Mafia 2, and the month before that was Mafia. So available Mafia 3, Minecraft Legends, Gravity Circuit, Paleo Pines, and Cloud and Sheep 2. And then now today, also available, Dread Out 2, Endless Space, God's Trigger, New York Mysteries, Projection First Light, and Far Away, Director's Cut. Later this month, you're going to have Gloomhaven, which is a good game, tough. It'll be your turn-based kind of RPG sort of games. Think that, but the Dark Souls version. Like, Gloomhaven is known for being like brutal. It was a tabletop game that you play, and it does not pull punches. Like, you lose a lot more than you win. So Gloomhaven's a tough one. But Gloomhaven, The Last Spell, Fashion Police Squad, Genesis Noir, Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, Berserk Boy, The Last Show of Mr. Chardish,
Okay.
and Wild Country. And then at the end of the month, Thief Gold, Troublemaker, Kraken Academy, and Priest Simulator Vampire Show. So those will be by April 24th. You'll be able to claim all of those as different things, some through Epic, some through Good Old Games, some through Amazon.
Is Amazon Luna still a thing?
Yeah.
It's still a thing? Because I remember I made a vid on it like a long time ago.
Yeah, Prime subscribers will also be able to get the following games via the Luna channel. And they have Battle for Bikini Bottom, Rehydrated, Hot Wheels Unleashed, Bee Simulator, Thymesia, Jackbox Party Pack 6, the OG Fortnite Ballistics, Lego Fortnite Brick Life, Fortnite Battle Royal, Fortnite Festival, Lego Fortnite Odyssey, Rocket Racing, Fortnite, Trackmania Starter Access, and then Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. Those are specifically for Luna. But all of these, if you have a Prime account, they're free for yours to keep. The ones that add to your Epic library, they add to your library. I think you might have to look into it, but you might need an Amazon account to access the ones that are given through Amazon Games. But anything that's given through Good Old Games or Epic is just yours.
All right. Before we head back into the Nintendo topic, I do want to mention one more sale for a game that Spider-Man has been copying for a really long time. And I know you probably think, he's about to mention Saints Row. No, I am not going to mention Saints Row. But Spider-Man must be stopped because they was copying this other game. This is a $15.99 game on Epic's store. It is called Calvin Carter, the Golden Guardian. When I first saw that, I was like, yo, Insomniac, Spider-Man, these people must be stopped. They are copying this game. They've stolen from this little guy, the indie developer, and threw it out there as their own. They must be stopped, man.
Oh.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this game? Look this game up real quick.
It rips off Spider-Man.
No, look how they ripped. Look at how Spider-Man ripped off this game, man. That's crazy. That's so crazy. If y'all want to play the original, it's right there. $15.99. You got Spider-Man at home, man. I'm telling you, we doing that. We got the game at home edition. Listen,
This came out in September. What you mean the original?
Listen, man. We exposing these guys. We got another game on the screen. This is your game. It's like we ain't even gotta wait for the next Mario. We got it at home, man. We got it right here. What is this? This is Astrobot, right? This is the game of the year, right?
Yo,
we got it at home.
This is the game.
This is the game. You don't even care about Odyssey 2, right? We don't even care. Because we got this. Game? Yes. This is your game.
Go up on this level, bro.
So yes, we ain't worried about what they got to say. We got plenty of titles out here to play. Plenty of titles from the past, from the present. There's so much. And when I turned back on my Steam Deck and I was looking through a lot of stuff, I was like, yo, like I'm really good. I ain't even worry about that. Like I'm still like a week and a half away or 2 weeks away from really just diving right back into Game Pass anyway. And then all these retro games are still here. It's just like, bro, like I'm really eating really good. I could wait on Nintendo Switch too. I could wait on it for real. I could wait on it. We got all these titles out here, man. All of them. But I do want to get back on Nintendo's head once more. We're gonna try to look at it in a positive way. Let's try to look at it in a positive way. There's got to be something positive about Nintendo real quick. So let's say, we go through and we look at what they presented to us and we say, we'll come up with our own collection of stuff that we would want to buy from them day one. And some stuff that we will want overall from them, from what they've shown so far for the Switch 2. And let's come up with our own price of what we would pay, basically, based on what we've known so far. Now this is pre tariffs, all that stuff, whatever they were saying beforehand on their little website. So this is subject to change. But what I wanted to do is let the people know, hey, if I was gonna buy day one, what would that look like? What would it look like as far as like the price, and what am I looking to get? I'm just gonna try to be nice about it. I told you to do this as well. So you want to tell the people what you would get and what it was probably gonna cost you overall?
Yeah. So if we're just talking about like on the release day only,
yeah,
then the only game that I would be getting is Mario Kart World. Because everything else I want comes out after.
Okay, so you looking at getting just the system and the actual game itself. So are you gonna get it in the bundle form?
I would get it in the bundle form along with the. I'm not gonna wait for the extended memory. I'd probably grab that as well.
Okay.
The SD card. So, looking at on the day of launch, it would be what, $600?
Well, break it down for us. What does each thing cost?
You said what?
What does each thing cost? Well, break it down for us. What are we talking?
Switch 2 with the Mario Kart bundle would have been $499.99, so $500.
All right.
And then the SD card, I would get the 512, so it's like future-proof, and I don't have to worry about it for at least a really long time. And that was $100. So yeah, it would cost me $600.
$600. This is pre-tax, right? We ain't talked tax yet.
And this is the day of release, not including everything else that comes out later.
Okay, so if you include everything else that comes out later, what are you looking to spend overall on Nintendo Switch 2?
So if I was including everything that comes out later, the main games announced that I would go after: Donkey Kong Bonanza, Shadow Labyrinth, Kirby Air Raiders, and the upgraded Kirby Forgotten Land, because I didn't get that on Switch. Dragon Drive, Hades 2, and Pokemon Legends ZA. So by the time we get through those, that'll run me about, I believe, if I calculated it right, $1,100.
Mm-hmm.
And that's without fully knowing exact prices. So assuming Shadow Labyrinth would be more around 30 to 40 bucks. And Donkey Kong being like 70, the rest I kind of put around 80.
So
Right,
this is
so 80 would probably be around 60 because it's multi-plat. So or maybe 70, but yeah, it would run me to about $1,100.
so we talking right now before, so the people understand, before they come back with whatever their price hike is,
Yep.
basically.
And let's be real, actually, it'll probably cost a little bit more because I would also probably get another set of Joy-Cons or a Pro Controller. So we're looking at
Yeah.
1,200.
Now,
Because the Joy-Cons is like 79, or the Pro Controller, like not the Super Pro Controller, but just like but like it wouldn't be the like $150 or something like that Pro Controller. It'll still be the one that's around 80 bucks still. So yeah, 1,200 bucks to buy it on.
so now real life me has some questions basically that I need asked before I would get this. So I'm really yeah. So like I would want to know a whole bunch of questions. I would like to see some videos because I want to know, for one, is the regular Pro Controller compatible and I just don't have the C button, or do I have to just use the new one? And other than that, like, could I go to the menu or something for the C button stuff if I was using my Pro Controller? Or is it just like you don't have access no more, basically, altogether? It's almost like cause I can use on the Xbox Series X, I can use the Xbox One controllers with no problem, but there's a share button that's not there, where you can kind of just go into the menu real quick and then use the share feature. Where here, I don't know if that's the same thing when it comes to that chat button. But if I was going into this day one and it's saying I will buy this day one, I would want to get the system with the bundle with Mario Kart. It will kind of annoy me because I really am more of a physical collector for a lot of things. But I will probably buy this version overall. And then that's $500 for the system, right? I would buy the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime 4 is coming out the day of. And I think that one is $80. And I would get the Pro Controller here if I was just like, splurging. So that Pro Controller is $80 as well. I don't know if they mentioned the GameCube's controller being available day one, but I would have been looking at that because I actually think I would probably go for their online service when I get this, which is the $50 online service. Just hypothetically thinking about it, like, that's a $50 purchase in itself as well. But the GameCube controller, I'm not too sure. I don't know what the price is on it, but I put on my paper either $50 or $60. The N64 and the Sega Genesis controllers that they had mentioned before, because they said this before, where it was like you got to have that online in order to buy those. Those are both priced at $50 each, which I kind of thought was steep. I think a lot of people did, but people were still buying it anyway. I would imagine the GameCube controller is the same way, but I do think at the end of the day, I would still hold off on that GameCube controller because I still have mine. And I would hope I would be able to use it, but I would try it first, and then I will come revisit that later. Just knowing how I would be, but I would get the online pack, because if we got the system that utilizes the game chat and stuff, I would try to utilize that with like people I know on the Switch, which is something I've never done. And so That is Metroid Prime is 80, the controller is 80, the other system is the 500. I think what I wrote down, it looked like it said it was like 730 to 750. I think that's also dependent on the tax and some other things. But that looks like that's what that is, because I also think Mario Party Jamboree was actually a title that I was looking to get at one point. The first version of the Switch 1 version. I'm actually not really sold on the Switch 2 upgrades, like doing all that stuff with the camera and stuff. But I might have considered getting just the Switch 1 version of that at that time. If that counts. I don't know. But technically the Switch 2 version drops at the same time, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, so the online system, the $50 buy-in for that is also supposed to come with free upgrades for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, if I remember correctly. And I'm still in the middle of Tears of the Kingdom. And so I was like, well, maybe I could start playing on the Switch 2. But the real life me, just to interject, I do also want to say that was one of the questions that I had. The real life me wants to know, does my save data transfer over? Because ain't no way for a game like that, right? Which is another question that I don't think...
You have to, upload it to, you have to have the online service so you can upload it to a cloud and then download it onto the system.
Right, and so...
Way, you transferred PS4 to PS5. Save data, you had to upload it to your PS Plus, cloud thing, and then download it.
Right, so that would be my thought process for the online system. Or having the online in itself was just to have access to the party chat, and then maybe some of that Nintendo expansion pack stuff as well, because I remember some of those other Mario Kart expansion packs came with that from the first system. And then from the first system I would have access to some of their other older system content, just to see how it runs in comparison to my Retroid devices. So that would be my thought process there. But I do think I would still hold off on the GameCube controller overall, just because of the gray area that we've already discussed. But it looked like, for me, that's $750, and that's a Switch 2 launch, $750, and this is still pre-tariff price, right? So I would imagine that's a $800 plus buy-in once we hear about whatever's going on. And then if I was to include the other part of it, now we're talking all these other games that I do actually want. I do want the Donkey Kong game. I do want to get the upgrade. Actually, I think the upgrade for Kirby Forgotten Land I actually would get as well, which I heard was $20. So that's probably in my launch as well. So we're looking at almost $800 basically, is what that looks like. But yeah, I would get the upgrade for that. I would have the Tears of the Kingdom update because of the Nintendo Switch Online. Mario Party Jamboree. I do think at some point I would get the Pokemon ZA game. Kirby Air Riders I would get. Dragon Drive. I don't even know what that's going to be priced around, but I put just safely $80. And then the Dust Bloods, which is their their version of Bloodborne or whatever. I do still want to wait and see what that's fully about, because we don't really know. But I did put on my notes that that's around a $80 game probably as well. And so when I tallied up that whole thing, which would probably in the long term might include the GameCube controller once I understand everything, that puts and then the SD card, I would probably go for the high end one to future proof, which right now it says it's $200 for the 1 terabyte one. The reason I'm going for that one because we actually don't even know what's the sizes of everything going to be going forward because
We
it
know
already.
some. So Mario Kart World was about 25 gigs, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Cyberpunk was its normal like 100 something gigs, and then every other like Switch specifically game was under Mario Kart World. So they were hitting like at most 20, but
Yeah.
hovering around I think 15, 5 to 15. So I did see that post because there's a whole thing they said if you get Cyberpunk and you don't buy an SD card, it's gonna take up half your memory on like the console.
Yeah. So when I was tallying this up, it specifically went to $1,460. So that's looking
Woo.
at like $1,500, and this is also pre, price hikes of whatever they're going to announce at some point. And that's if I'm getting it long term. Now, long term, I might not even get the Switch bundle. It might actually be like a special edition Switch. I'm actually still holding to that. I would like to see a special edition, much more colorful Switch too. I don't want an all black system. I got so many all black systems. Um, so that's what I'll be looking at if I was to buy into the Switch 2 long term. So it just sounds like this thing is still going to be a very expensive machine, depending on how you look at it. Now, I don't want to just blame them for it altogether like that because obviously with the Switch One, if even if the games were $60 each, you still would probably buying a lot of them at $60 each, right? Which still added up, pretty significantly overall. So I don't know if it's just fair to go there, but if you're just looking at it from just the launch window and everything that you're excited about, it's still roughly looking at probably a $1,500 thing for everybody, right? Depending on what they want. Because there's probably going to be a lot of people who might say, hey, I want to get a third party title on this system, which generally speaking, third party titles cost more on the Switch than it does anywhere else. Even when we've seen in the past, like worse performing versions of games still ended up costing like $10 more on the Switch because of the whole price of the cartridge or whatever they were saying before, which I think is going to still continue to be exposed along with everything else because people are looking at Nintendo sideways now. The game you mentioned, Shadow Labyrinth, I'm probably going for the Steam version of that. And then all those third party games, I mean, it going through one ear and out the other. I mean, everything is going to be on every other platform.
Yeah.
That's just me.
And because I don't have Rogue Ally or Steam Deck or anything, and Shadow Labyrinth to me is one of the games that does kind of look like a good handheld game. That's why I would have went for the Switch 2 version, but because I don't plan on getting a Switch 2, I am gonna get it on PC. But yeah,
All right, I think I think that's it for the show. But I do want to mention a couple things that just happened to me recently. And then also some really fast news that I probably should have had during the Epic Game section. So the streets right now is saying or putting out there that there may be a Titanfall 3 in the works. I don't even know if that's really, it seems like it's
I
more
heard that it
rumor
was
based.
not confirmed.
Yeah, which they've really, gone forward with like you know, I can't even think, I had the name in my head, but Apex Legends. So like that's been their bread and butter now this entire time, and they have such a strong fan base, especially the streamers and everything. So I don't really see them doing this, but at the same time, they generated enough money that they can actually afford to do this. If they do, I'm definitely buying it because Titanfall 2
So good.
was a really good. The campaign was very good. The actual gunplay is very good. And then the mech is
Pro
pretty
was
fun
fun.
too.
The mech was fun.
Hmm.
That was a great game, dude. I even loved the time travel level. To me, was amazing. where it was like the traveling back and forth in real time and the enemies are just there. 'Cause I
Yeah,
just
that
remember like getting trapped down with like a bunch of people shooting at me, and I just switched, and all of a sudden it was just a bunch of animal, like the monsters, rabies animals trying to attack me. Uh, so yeah, I thought it was just a really good level.
what was funny about that is that particular game, because I played it on PS4. Like when PlayStation was really trying to sell Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and was trying to sell those rifts and how you needed to have a PS5 for that. Like I always kept thinking about that game. I'm like, this kind of contradicts everything they're trying to sell to me.
Oh yeah,
It was just contradicting it. It was like this technology is here already. But I still play both games at the end of the day. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And then also, did you want to mention the thing that you post about Ubisoft's mentioning the crew, the game The Crew?
oh, yeah, Ubisoft got mad. There was a lawsuit against them, because in California, from California, I believe, because the
Mm-hmm.
crew's online servers got shut down and it was a purely online game.
Yeah.
And people were saying that like if they bought in tokens, the website said that these tokens expire in 2099, which fairly implies that the game should have been supported until 2099. Um, and that because they bought it, they should be able to play it. And Ubisoft and their lawyers' argument against it was that it was understood that you don't own the game. You were buying like a pass to be able to use the servers. So since they shut down the servers, that's on you. You got enough enjoyment out of the game. Quit complaining.
Wow.
So of course Ubisoft being Ubisoft, but at the same time, it's crazy that like for example, Good Old Games has to stress, hey, you buy it, you own it, and the other companies are afraid to say that type of stuff because honestly, and that's what makes digital scary. And like when I see online only or online focused games, because it's just if the studio shuts down or they just want to turn the server off, it's just gone. And like the crew, even though it came out in like 2011 or it was early, or it was 10 years ago, like 2000, yeah, 15ish.
Mm-hmm.
It still had a player base, obviously because they're suing. So like these people that like legit, it's like, yo, I play this, and you shut it down on me, like. And I think of things like Dauntless, for example, even though it was a free to play
Yeah.
game, and it's just like people who didn't want to have to spend the money on Monster Hunter, they had a viable option, and then it got shut down. And it's like if you put money into it, like that's not fair, right? Like I can always re-download Arkham Knight right now and like get all of my DLC back because and even though I put money into it, I can just re-download all that stuff. But for online things, it's like you put money into it and then the company can just take it away. So I don't like that. That's Ubisoft's answer to it. And it's like among all the things they do wrong, here's another thing.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting where the industry is and how bold they are. I think a lot of what's been going on, it just seems so bold that they really think that they have the marketplace, locked down like that where they can just make these
Yeah.
crazy decisions. And they're all quickly finding out that no, they can't. They don't got it like that. And I do think it's still a good thing. I think it's still, the leading towards what I call the great reset, which is just we just have to go through these little things just to let gaming collapse in a way until we can like get it back in order, because right now we're chaotic. This whole
Yeah.
generation has been that way. It's not just Nintendo. I know it's just I'm tongue-in-cheeking with Nintendo right now, but like the full generation has been that way. It's just been crazy where even when people get it right, their studios still shut down and all that other stuff. So it's like, we just got to go through this in order to just get things back in order. And hopefully in the long run it's good for everybody and we get back to just having happy games and stuff. I do want to mention real quick, so the Switch 2 is still set to launch on June 5th, but I believe the Sunday around that time we are expecting the next Xbox show, which they've mentioned in their like little like I guess preview that they're showing. That is going to also have a direct that is centered around the Outer Worlds 2. So I think that game is like very much ready to go. But the Xbox showcase itself is going to be on June 8th, just a few days after the actual Switch 2 release. So it's still a pretty hot, summertime for gaming, because even though the Xbox show is what's being announced, I'm pretty sure is going to come with like all types of shows, like even the stupid shows that we may end up skipping this year. But like a whole bunch of shows are gonna be shown.
Voices in gaming.
Yes, I mean, maybe for the laughs we might, but at the same time, it's like 10, 15 titles, all in a week or two span. And it's like, oh, is E3 really dead? I don't think E3 is really dead for the masses, because it's like, here's everybody's show all at one time. I am going to be looking forward to the Future Game Show, Latin America's gaming show. Some of those were very good.
American one, man. They have some hot stuff on there.
Yeah, but everybody else's voicing gaming, I'm not really too fond of. But the other shows, though, I am really looking forward to. One last thing I wanted to mention. I had a moment really recently where I just made a very, very knee-jerk decision to buy a second PC. And it's funny because I wasn't really in a no choice situation, but what had happened was one of my computers that I was using mainly to capture footage burned out on me. And it was really funny enough, like with a lot of footage that you would see, like even with I think this Kirby game, the footage was initially coming from an old work from home computer that was very much like a potato. Like it wasn't really meant to like run anything video whatsoever. And I kind of knew that, but still used it that way anyway because I wasn't using it to work. I hadn't used it to work since like 2021. But I was watching, it was like officially my Twitch computer for a while, where I would only or mainly watch Twitch and then sometimes YouTube all on that computer, and that computer couldn't handle like video content, right? And so this past Tuesday it actually just burned out, where it was a Dell computer where if you just turn on the the CPU, it would like basically only load to the logo screen and wouldn't go past it. And so I knew, I was like, okay, this thing is officially burnt out and it's my fault that I burnt it out. But I need to replace it because I got to make sure I still have that type of computer in here. And ended up just kind of looking at Micro Centers. So I went to Micro Center, looking at their different stuff, and was like, it don't make no sense to get another machine like that can't do that. I need to make sure it does everything I needed to do. So I ended up just buying like a potato gaming PC, which is funny because it is not really high end at all. It was like a $900 or $850 machine, and then I had like an additional close to $100. I don't know if it was $100 worth of stuff. I bought a couple speakers, the mouse mat that goes all the way across the desk. I wanted another one of those, and then a wireless mouse and something else. But the main machine was like $859.99 or something. And it's obviously nowhere near where mine is right now, my like 4090 machine, but I think it's one of those graphics cards that's in it that's like not an actual like 40 series card, but like the Ryzen cards or whatever it's called. But the dude told me it was like equivalent to like a 4060 or something like that. So I was like, okay, it's clearly a potato, right? So, but it's at least good enough to do streaming. So it's like technically I have a streaming PC. I'm calling it a streaming PC. And I'm probably going to use it for still only looking at Twitch. But I couldn't go without having a official computer that was like separate from anything that has like my personal data on there that I can use in case for work, just in case. I'm probably not going to be in a situation where I would need a work from home machine for a really long time, if ever. But I couldn't afford to just not have one on standby. So I just went and got that basically. But I immediately though I did notice the big difference between that and my old work computer when it was like I hooked it up to the same old potato monitors because it was still work monitors, but the actual thing was like real smooth. It was like way more smoother. So I was like, okay, this thing could clearly handle video. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So I had to just like I had to buy it because there was no way I was gonna have that. You know, like if you have like a work from home thing, they kind of take over the machine kind of virtually and put like a whole bunch of software on there. I never felt comfortable doing that with like a computer that has my personal info on there.
Oh, fair.
And ain't nobody touching my big PC. Like ain't nobody touching that. That's my baby right there. It's funny though because the tower is actually not as big as the one that has the 4090 in it. It's a little bit smaller, but it still takes up a lot of space. But it is what it is. I just had to do it. But yeah, little potato, my cute little potato 4060 equivalent streaming PC. I just went and got one. But yeah, that's all I wanted to mention. I think we've had a long enough show as it is. I think hopefully we can get more definitive news with Nintendo. We're going to follow this story. It's a very hot topic right now. But I think also we might have some humor next week where we could probably talk about our experience with the game Saints Row and then what we're currently playing. We could probably mention what we're currently playing right now though. We're playing Dead Island 1, right? Melee focused zombie game, zombie apocalypse. Yeah, and then you can run over people with the car. The car part is a lot more realistic than I would have thought. Just from that point of view, I'm very used to playing car games where you're like out the viewpoint is outside the car, like far back, but like right there in the windshield, it's like, yo, this is real. It just felt real. But that's all I got. I think we went long enough. We'll follow Nintendo's news, especially when we get the official price points. You know, that's going to be a crazy, topic in itself. And overall, the big question is, can they save their release? Are they able to save their reputation, their name value? We'll see. But other than that, like, comment, share, subscribe. Peace. I will see you next week.